who has been the biggest influence on you?
I had breakfast with Jack Welch, and he was in, it was
When was that?
phenomenal. This is 2 years ago. I think you need to have a philosophy of continued education. I don't think it's necessary to go, through an MBA, go through business schools. I think it's an advantage if you can, but I don't think it's necessary now. And this room was probably the size of the room when we first started. It's my passion, so technology and the change of digital transformation is my passion.
Paul, can you please tell us some advice? What would you recommend to those people who want to be successful entrepreneurs? Hello, game changers! Welcome. We are meeting today Paul, the founder and the owner of xPertLearning. Paul, can you please introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your company.
Sure. So xPertLearning are an online learning, talent and performance consultancy based here in Knowledge Village. My co-founder Janine and I founded this company in 2003. So let me show you around the office, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, so let's have a closer look how the education business in Dubai looks like.
We're the reception area. This is the open area really where the admin, finance happens.
The stand with all your successes, right?
Yes.
How many of them do you have?
Wow, you kind of lose count now. You kind of, I think a lot of these have been through our partnerships. So we've been recognized by, some of our vendor partners and some of our customers as well. I guess the proudest moments are some of the awards that we've won, and certainly the SME is part of the SME 100 stands out for me, but we're always, honored and proud to receive these accolades.
What was the most difficult to
I think SME. I think I think the fact that there's so many companies and organisations now that are entering that sort of competition, and to actually be ranked and have a number, and we actually, have shifted, higher, and we're still in the lower part of the 100s. I think we're 83 now. But that, I think it's more difficult because you have to really cover a lot of criteria. So, but it's fabulous to be part of the 100, and it's really taught us a lot from some of the peers in the organisations that we get to talk to that are at those higher positions in the top 100.
And whose idea was to participate in the in the Dubai Senior 100?
Well, Janine and I kind of spoke about that, and I suspect it was kind of the first time that we had to reveal some of the numbers, the revenues and profitability, and so that was kind of more difficult. Obviously there's lots of non-disclosure around that, but it was really kind of opening our heart and soul. So it was a joint decision from Janine and I.
Right. And after how many years did you decide to take part in this?
Well, we really were at the start of the SME, so we kind of, talked to them straight away, and that was good for us, because if we'd have thought too much, we probably wouldn't have entered. So, I'm pleased that we were part of the first, start of the SME 100.
That's impressive. That looks really impressive. Paul, can you please let us know a little bit about your story before you arrived to Dubai? What did you do? Did you ever think about coming to Dubai, about doing business in Dubai? Please let us know some words about it.
Yeah, well, my humble beginnings were actually, I'm a coal miner's son, and I was an electrical engineer back in the north of England, and I kind of moved towards more computer engineering, the hardware, programming and the software, because that was my kind of interest and passion. And then I travelled overseas, so I was 13 different countries in 13 years in travel and tourism. So there was no kind of intention of thinking about, coming here. In fact, our kind of thing was to go back to the UK. I met my wife, and we got married and decided to, or thought we decided to stay in the UK. And I worked for local government, and I was a business and training advisor and a trainer, so I kind of fell in love with the training side and got qualifications in training and development. And so we came on holiday. It was simple as that. We came.
What year was that?
This was in 2000, I think it was 2000, 2001. And we came on holiday, and my wife and I was having dinner in Crown Plaza overlooking the new Emirates Towers hotel. And she said, I would love to, work in a place like this. And got talking to some people that were on holiday, and she talked to some of the staff in the hotel that we were staying at. And they said, oh, well, we know somebody that knows somebody, maybe you want to talk to them. And a few months later, she was corporate director of sales and living here. So it was not planned, it was not expected,
so
it was a very quick decision. But we very quickly fell in love with the place, and obviously, I'm talking about 16, 17 years ago, so it was a different place, but so exciting and so many things happening, as they still are today. So that was really the decision to come here, with the intention of me, finding a job, which, eventually I found some work, but it was not really the right thing.
So did you work there for some time?
So I worked, actually got involved with another training company that was starting up. So I was helping them as kind of their first employee, but I wasn't a business owner. So, but it was great grounding, because I learned about, building a website for the company and all the, the PO work and getting visas and, starting to establish the foundation for the company. And then I met with my business partner Janine, and Janine had really done study on e-learning and what was happening in technology and training. And she'd travelled all over the world to get research and came back. And then she talked to me about, potentially working with her and setting up an e-learning company. Of course, for me, that was perfect, because it was a combination of technology and as a training professional, it merged the two things. So we spoke about it, and then we decided to set up the company and finished up in a small part of what is now Knowledge Park, which is now magnificent. Yeah,
previously it was Knowledge Village, now it's a Knowledge Park.
Yeah.
Get the #1 step-by-step guide on how to become your own boss in the UAE. You will learn how to start your own business in the UAE. Just click the link in the description below this video and follow this link. This is your time to start. Click the link below this video. Bam! Paul, can you please tell us some advice? What would you recommend to those people who want to be successful entrepreneurs?
Love what you do. I think that's the most important thing. Really, believe in the conviction to what your vision is. And then build people around you that are going to have the qualities that you probably don't have. So if you know that you're not strong with finances, you're not strong with administration, make sure that you either have a partner or you build a team that can fill in those blanks.
Yeah. And can you please share your experience how you build a team? Because for many entrepreneurs it's very difficult to find the right people. How do you select your people?
I think it's you've got to have some competencies. So for us, people have got to have a background in technology or a background in HR. But a lot of it for me is really about them having the right attitude, and I think that's difficult to identify. So for me, I need to speak to more people. We use technology as well, so we'll use kind of video interview techniques so that we can get to see more people and try to filter them in as opposed to filter them out.
So when you select people, do you mostly put your attention to the qualities that he has, experience that he has, or something else?
I think it's a balance. So I think you have to have, first of all, they've had the competencies, and they've got to have some sort of experience, because otherwise they're playing catch up. Unless you take in a fresher, an intern, or something like that. But generally, you need to know that they have the competencies. And then it's really about character, attitude, mapping the value.
Do you think you need an education to start business?
I think you need to have a philosophy of continued education. I don't think it's necessary to go, through an MBA, go through business schools. I think it's an advantage if you can, but I don't think it's necessary, no. I definitely think that you have to have a focus on being an open-minded learner.
Alright guys, and now is my favorite part, the Dubai hot seat questions. And I will be asking quick questions and Paul will give us quick answers, but they are not necessarily short. Dubai or London?
Oh, Dubai.
Why?
I think Dubai is just for me, it's the new land of opportunity. So the difference is obviously London's already established, and then you have to kind of work your way in there. And with Dubai, you really can get to the right people and organisations, and it's history rising.
Who is the best businessman on the planet?
Well, Richard Branson comes to mind for me, just because of the entrepreneurship and the way that he's taken businesses in certain directions that have been so diverse. So I like Richard, and I like his character and charisma.
All right. Which is the best city in the UAE?
I have to say Dubai, although Abu Dhabi is phenomenal, and I really enjoy going to Abu Dhabi. And then I think that one of my favourite places is actually Ras Al Khaimah. So, but I have to say Dubai, because this is where it all started for me.
Okay. The worst ever decision that you made in business and in your life?
Oh, I'm still making them, so it's difficult to say. I mean, I did sell myself when I was in the UK, and I was a business and training advisor and advising small businesses. And I thought to myself, I would never do my own business. So probably that's the worst advice I've ever taken, because here we are, 15 years later.
So this is the worst decision in life or in business?
In business, to say don't do your own business.
And what about life? The worst ever decision in life?
I don't know. I think it's. I think every decision that's been the wrong one or a bad one has been a good lesson. So like I said, I'll continue to make bad decisions or poor decisions at the time, and which will take you down a different crossroad. As long as we learn from the bad decisions, I think that's important.
What are the 3 books that most influenced you?
I guess really, I can't really pick one that I said, right, this is going to change, or this is going to be, something that will help me. And I think it's always a transition. So you'll read a book, based around emotional intelligence, for example, to kind of get a better feel for how you manage and lead. But there's not particularly a book that says, oh, well, I read that book and now I'll do things. I've got all my answers in this particular book. But then, you can find a book on digital marketing, for example, and that will be a topic area. You can find, millions of books on leadership. So I guess it's really, reading the topic where you believe that you need to learn more on.
If you just started the business now, what would you do? Would you select the same niche?
I think so. I think actually, e-learning wasn't popular. People didn't know what learning management software was. So I guess we will be late into the game if we started that now. But it's my passion. So technology and the change of digital transformation is my passion. So it's certainly evolved. I mean, courses used to be 6 hours long. Nobody will sit for 6 hours to do an e-learning course anymore. So you've got short micro learning. But I think I'd still be in the same industry. I have a passion for the industry for sure.
When you started, it was the challenge to get the first 10 customers.
Yeah.
How did you manage to resolve this problem?
Yeah, I think it's really difficult that you get the first clients over the line. And again, we were quite fortunate because our vendor partner was a global partner that had clients already here. So
Mm-hmm.
that was, you know, for us, it kind of opened the door to some of the big multinationals.
Right.
But we wanted the large local businesses from aviation, from finance and banking, from you know, the large oil and gas industry. So,
right.
But having that kind of global attachment to our vendor partners helped us to get there quicker, I believe.
Right. And when you say vendor partner,
Yes.
what is that exactly? How did you manage to partner
Yes.
with this vendor partner?
Yeah, so we kind of looked at, you know, you can do a Google search, who's the biggest e-learning company in the world, who's the best talent management platform, who's the best you know, student management information software. And we've always tried to find the best in the world.
So you do the research, get in touch?
Sure, yeah,
and
sure.
Offering to cooperate?
Yeah, and that's kind of, then we can go to our client and say, well, what are you looking to do? Mm-hmm. And then here are some of the partners that can help you to achieve that goal. So, you know, and now we find that, you know, a vendor would come to xPertLearning because we built a good brand, you know, in our professional field with
right.
HR and talent management and e-learning software.
You set up the business here from the very beginning,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Okay.
So this was, the free zones were just starting. So in fact, while this was being built, we were incorporating and we were in Internet City. So Internet City started the whole kind of free zone thing for us. So as expatriates, we wanted to set up, you know, our own business and have 100% ownership, which we have, you know, till today.
You were two, right? You were two when you started.
Yes.
And how did you grow?
So I guess organically. So, you know, you win a couple of customers and then you realize that you need them looking after better, and
right.
you know, our motto is to make every customer your best friend. So it was really, we needed more friends on our side as well. So we started to organically grow, and it wasn't until 2015 where we'd actually been recognized in the top SME 100s and start to talk more about, well, how do we go to, you know, countries outside of the region? And that's where we were looking for investors, and we actually did you know, sell part of the business
right.
to another company based in Eastern Europe.
So when you started, how much money did you have at that time?
So I think we incorporated with 50,000 dirhams.
50,000 dirhams.
Yeah.
It was the savings of yours? Or?
Yeah, it was the personal savings actually from Janine and her husband. So yeah, that's how we started, and we still had to find more cash in the kind of second year, but it's all still family and friends capital. And then obviously as we started to grow and started to move into profit, you know, and I think we've been blessed in a sense because we've always worked with some of the leading companies in the world, so the global leaders in, you know, learning management system, talent management software, e-learning software.
Right.
So as they've kind of grown, we've also grown with, so our libraries have gotten bigger, our platforms have got better. So I think a lot of it is to actually find the right strategic partners. I think that's helped with our success.
Okay, so can you please show us your office?
Sure. So this is the office where my business partner Janine and I sit.
Okay.
I have to say,
this is your place, right?
So this is my desk. Yeah. I have to say I'm very seldom here. Most of my business is done outside, either with clients. We're on the golf courses, we're at the yacht clubs, or we really try to get out with the customer as much as possible. Our main philosophy is to try and make the customer our best friends, and all of my friendships have really built around business, whether it be our vendors, our customers, or our prospective customers, and then of course our colleagues that work with us here.
Let's have a closer look at the table. So can you please explain us about this setup here?
This is kind of a homage to everywhere that I travel.
Yeah.
So all of this is a gift. So whether it's from Hong Kong, whether it's been from Malaysia, we've got things from Slovakia here.
Las Vegas?
Vegas, of course, yeah.
Come, $1,000 cheap.
Yeah.
Lucky one.
Yeah. And you know, and obviously India here.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a shrine to some of the travels that we've had. And obviously starting with a base in Dubai, we are gradually moving out into some of these countries that I've mentioned.
Right.
And here really is just, you know, kind of catalogues, some of the old brochures and magazines that we've been, you know, we've been in the past.
Calculator?
Well, you know, you still need to do the old school, even though we're a technology-based learning company.
What is this photo about?
So this was a CEO club. It's a golf tournament. Okay. So it was back in the day with the CEO clubs. We also sponsor some of the dragon boat races and things like this. So I think any kind of the sporting outdoor kind of activities we try to get involved in.
So you're a member of the CEO Club of Dubai, right?
Yeah.
Do you participate in any other clubs?
There's a yacht club, which is part of a kind of a boat club that we have. So again, we'll meet with CEOs there. So that will be kind of interesting to look at what we do there. And then really it's about you know, the sort of business networking organizations. I spend a lot of my time in events, to be honest. So
do you think it is important to go outside, like for our young entrepreneurs who are watching us, or not even for the young and the big entrepreneurs, big sharks who are also watching us, to go to such networking, to go to such clubs? Is it important?
I think you get to, I think when you first start, you can get out and about, and then everybody gets kind of caught in their own things, and they're in the woods, you know, they can't see the trees because they're in the wood. And I think it's really important to go outside, and I think most of, you know, what I do is kind of PR, but just finding out what other entrepreneurs are doing, how businesses are working, whether it's competition or just generally a totally different business, because I think it just gives you a wider scope. Of course, you've got to have that balance of, you know, somebody's outside, and typically my business partner would be making sure operations and finances were stable. But yes, I think absolutely it's imperative that you go to networks.
And when you say that you managed to get the big local business, how did you do that? How did you manage? Because most of the entrepreneurs want to get the big clients, big companies, big corporations. What is your advice? How to get in touch with them? What we should be like when we are getting in touch with them?
Well, I think you've got to be pretty brave. I think you have to, you know, believe in the product or service that you're actually delivering. And then I think it's about research. I think if we're going to a particular, you know, organization in retail or hospitality, we need to understand a little bit about how they run their businesses, how they develop their people, what's important to them. And so I think you really need to be kind of confident in that. And then it's really finding the people within those organizations to make sure that you're talking to the right people. And that's really research.
Do you remember how much money did you earn in the first month of running your business?
Wow.
Was it profitable in general or not?
No, not at first. And we took, Janine and I took, you know, low salaries just so that we could survive. And we were a good year, you know, really trying to make ends meet. So it was difficult in the first year or two. But then it's really being quite prudent and reinvesting. So we never took out of the business for many years. And, you know, I think it was really just to make sure that you've got, you know, a really good cash flow, and that you are bringing in people that you can actually afford, and you know, and make sure that you can look after them. So yeah, I think we had to be quite prudent, that's my business partner's forte. So yeah, you just have to be careful and realistic, but reinvest in your business.
And how much in the percentage rate do you usually reinvest into your business?
So we'll probably put, you know, of profit, we'll probably put 80-90% back into the business.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. and it's almost like you feel that you never know what's going to happen. So, and it could be that it's a cash reserve, so that profit enables the cash flow. So my success is really about bringing in the right people, making sure you've got the right, you're paying the appropriate salaries and compensations, and that they're going to grow with you as the business grows. So it's still very organic.
And what about this book? Why it's on your table?
This book has just arrived, so I've just literally opened it. But I'm an avid reader, so I'll read most of the business books. And
really?
There's some absolutely. There's always. It's interesting that I always said I really like the feel of the book.
Right.
And I love when we're at an event and I get to meet one of the authors and we have a conversation about their particular topic. But I've just gone to Kindle, and I used to bring all the books in, and we had a kind of a book club in the back room.
Yeah.
But I think it's so important to continue to read, whether it's through technology or whether it's the old-fashioned. But this has just arrived from a good friend of mine, so we're constantly, receiving things like this. Which is
how many books do you read per month?
I've probably got really 2 on the go, so I'd probably say 2-3 books a month. Yeah, I mean it's not massive, but it's consistent.
Right, but where do you have time to read?
Well, I think you have to just find the time. I think for me, it's probably usually sort of around the end of the night, so it's almost sort of helps you to kind of relax and get into the mode. And it doesn't always have to be business.
Yeah.
I'll take sort of thrillers and science fiction and things like this as well.
Nice.
But business books, I think these days now I'll do more listening. So I might take a podcast and listen in the car to audio books or executive summaries. So we're finding now that we can condense the time that you need to read and develop, but that's been the story of my life. Develop, learn something and hopefully teach it.
Yeah. What was the happiest moment in your life?
Well, it has to be the birth of my beautiful daughter, who's now 13, so that was probably the best.
What is happiness for you and what is unhappiness for you?
I think happiness for me is more consistency. You can have some fantastic highs and then you can get some real downtime. So I think it's just kind of, going with the waves and sort of enjoying that and waking up every day with something that you're excited about doing. Yeah. That's happiness for me.
What is success for you?
Well, I think, success at first was about really having a brand that people identified with. I think now probably success is about employing more people, going to new countries, developing new products. So it's a conglomeration of a lot of different things, and they're more smaller goals than big visionary picture. But success can come in small pieces.
Who has been the biggest influence on you?
I had breakfast with Jack Welch, and he was in, it was
when was that?
Phenomenal. This is 2 or 3 years ago, and he was in his late 70s. He's probably 80 or so now. So I think from that side, just the energy that he still had, is really inspirational for me, and it just proves that you can continue to work and still enjoy as long as you're enjoying the work that you do, you can go and forget about retirement.
How old were you when you started the business?
Well, it was 15 years ago, and I don't like to talk about my age because your age is as young as you look. But put it this way, I was born in the 50s. Right. So I'm not a young spring chicken anymore. So I was kind of late, I think, into the whole business startup. And I'm quite glad, because I think that I have worked for large organisations, smaller businesses, huge conglomerates. I've worked for government. So I think if you can take all of that experience and move into more entrepreneurship, I think it helps. But having said that, these days people are having businesses at 8 years old, and it's incredible.
Do you think you started early or you started late?
I think I started late.
Yeah?
I think I was late.
What do you think is the ideal age to start business?
I don't think there is one. I think it's about finding the right passion that you have. I don't necessarily think these days that you should say, oh, well, you know, I should get married at this age. I should start a business at this age. I think that a lot of people start probably with a job and then find a new passion. And if they can do some of that while they're in the job that they're in, that's usually the safest way. But it's different, it's horses for courses, it's different for everyone, I guess.
Right. How many companies are you consulting now? How many companies do you have in your list?
Yeah, there's around 80, I would assume, that are in contract. But we've worked with maybe 200-300 businesses over the years, and sometimes it's just on a project basis, so we might develop a special e-learning course for them.
Right. What is your goal for the next 5 years?
So I'd like to see us expand, obviously. I think that cautiously we want to, you know, expand probably into different territories. Saudi Arabia is a big next step for us, but also in Eastern Europe and in Malaysia as well. So I think it's really to try and reach out, but to maintain the same sort of customer focus that we really believe in.
What is your biggest dream now?
You know, I think it's really now more about maintaining and growing what we have than doing something totally different. For me, it's a success already, but I still feel that responsibility to, you know, the people that we employ, that we continue to grow and prosper for everyone, our partners, helping our clients and helping the people that work for us.
What is most important in your life?
Family starts first, the business is secondary to that. And just kind of really, you know, maintaining health and wellness is really important because it brings happiness. You know, staying fit, you know, physically helps you to stay fit mentally, I believe. So, yeah, doing the right things in the right moderations.
You know, when people achieve a certain level of success, of income and comfort, they stop developing. They just don't know where to take the energy from. Where do you take the energy from?
Just the whole way that digital is moving and the change. So it's not about, you know, how many deals can we make and how much money and profitability. Obviously businesses are set up to make profit, but now it's really about how can we help people learn in different ways and what is technology going to hold for the future of learning, development, performance. So that's what excites me about the
right.
role.
What are the recommendation books from the poll that we can hear?
I like books like Winning. It's quite aggressive from Jack Welch, but it's really candid and open. The autobiographies from great business leaders,
right.
we you know, Richard Branson and people like that will make some great stories. I think it's just finding the story that could most be applicable to you. But to be honest, look at the new books, look at the new authors, look at Breaking the Rules and, you know, from what got you here won't get you there, and there's some great authors and new authors. So we have to look out for who's coming up and who's in the top sellers now.
What do you think when you have a challenge while you are running your business? Is it better to find the answer in a book? Is it better to find the answer with your mentor? Is it better to find the answer maybe at online course or I don't know, in university?
Yeah. All of the above, and I think if you think about where we're moving to now, obviously it's digital and it's technology, but I think you have to have this idea that types of learning, the different modalities are all as important. I think if you can mix those modalities, so you might read a concept, you might watch a video online, you might do a course, but then you need to speak to some people. So again, I think it's the constant evolution of learning something and then, you know, trying to make the best decisions, which, you know, there's not a right and wrong way in business, so you really have to get a feel for it. But yeah, look out to all those different modalities of learning.
Yeah, I think that maybe at some point when you gather different information from different sources, there is some point, like critical, crucial point when the solution comes. Once we talk about future, tell us a little bit about the future of learning. How do you see it? What are the trends at the moment?
So I think that everybody's talking about artificial intelligence, and I think that that's going to be significant in the way that we develop talent and the way that we manage learning. Already software can predict the possibility of somebody who's possibly going to leave the organisation. I think what's important though is that we adapt and we realise that our roles as HR professionals and training professionals won't be the same. For example, somebody that's a trainer, you know, who use flip charts and who use PowerPoint will have to use technology in a different way. They'll have to present in webinars. They, you know, I would see in not too long a time in the future that people will actually be using holograms and be projected.
Sitting in helmets.
Absolutely. I mean, even virtual reality, we're just starting to get signs that organizations are looking at virtual reality to help, you know, engineers before they go out on oil rigs and things like this. So it's exciting times, but again, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves because sometimes it's just a gimmick and it doesn't actually help us learning it any better. It's just technology that enables us to learn in a different way.
You said that you are a member of several clubs and you are a frequent participant of different events. What would you recommend to attend, like maybe to young entrepreneurs or to the existing entrepreneurs? Which events would you recommend to take part in?
I think the club, the memberships, I think things like BNI, memberships are great for smaller businesses. And then I guess when you get into the CEO clubs and that network, you know, through the golfing communities or the sports communities, I think that's, you know, sort of somewhere to aspire to. But they're not difficult to join. They're not difficult to get involved in. You know, you might have to pay some subscriptions in some cases, or pay for certain events, but it's definitely good value. When
was the last time you rode the metro?
It was probably last year. So my family came out and we took the metro. I still, you know, take the Abras as well, but it's usually when you have family and friends come over, and I mean, it's a fantastic mode of transport, and it's really, you know, I think it's really sort of useful for people to now get to work. So, no, it's an incredible experience actually.
How many hours per day do you sleep?
I'm pretty good, I guess. You know, I mean, there'll be times when, you know, something's happening or we've got an event where probably I'm taking less, but generally I'd sleep 6 hours to 7 hours.
6 hours, 6, 7 hours. Yeah. So today you slept?
I slept well. So I slept 6 hours.
Right.
So it was good.
Do you exercise? Do you do any sports?
Yeah, not so much of the physical sports. I've been involved in playing sports most of my life, but not so much as I've got older now. But yeah, so I'll still exercise. In fact, I exercise and then I train. So, but I never know which day it is. So I might start off doing a walk, and that's a steady exercise. And then if I feel good, then it'll turn into a run, and then maybe weights, and I'll work it. So I'll work out probably 3 times a week, but I exercise every day, even if it's just a slow walk.
What do you do in your free time?
Just quieter things, family things, you know, maybe brunches, maybe parks, the malls, of course, are fantastic now, so all the entertainment's in there, cinema. But mostly it's with with friends and family and small groups of friends.
Can we say that you can disconnect from your business completely if you go on vacation, for example?
On vacation, yes, I've got better. I didn't used to do, but yeah, for sure now I feel, you know, that I can disconnect a lot easier because I've got the right people in the right kind of roles.
Yeah.
But I'm working most of the time. I'm working because you're thinking at weekends and things like this, which is why it's great here to just get away and you know, try and do something that's not associated to work, or have some purpose of focus where it's not on work. But to be honest, it's pretty much 24/7 at times.
Right. Do you watch YouTube?
I do, yeah, and I've several favorite channels.
Right.
So whether they're kind of business channels, I'm a musician as well, so it's incredible how much you can learn compared to, you know, the 70s when I was learning guitars with tape recorders, and now you can have an instrument and somebody will teach you on YouTube. It's a phenomenal medium for learning. Yeah.
What did you ask him about during this meeting?
Just really generally, I mean, he spoke about, you know, challenges that he had, mistakes that he made, financial mistakes that he made through trusting people. But the biggest thing that I think he taught me was about how candid and open he is with people. And I think I've shared that philosophy. If somebody, you know, is working with our organisation and are not particularly happy, or you see they're not probably performing, usually there's an underlying problem that as long as we're having candid conversations and open conversations and asking questions like, is it the right place for you? You know, if this happens or this doesn't happen, here's a consequence, and you're open and consistent with being candid. I think that's probably the best takeaway that I have from it.
What is the lesson that you can share with other viewers that you maybe had?
I think more than anything else, I think if entrepreneurs start with a vision and a purpose, I think that sometimes as they start to grow, the values of what they started with tend to, you know, dirty the water and muddy the water.
Yeah.
And I think they have to be more like a waterfall that gets cleaner as it goes downstream. So I think it's about really sharing and being open with the people that you get on board, and making sure that right down the line it's really clear, that message, and everybody lives that value.
If you could meet anyone in the world's history, who that man or woman would be?
Yeah, I guess somebody like Gandhi, who probably didn't have the same sort of, you know, kind of business drive and things like this. So it wouldn't be from a business perspective, because I'm influenced by so many business people and constantly learning from, you know, different modalities of, you know, whether you're watching videos or meeting people. But somebody like, you know, that has that kind of ethic and value and giving spirit. So somebody like Gandhi would be interesting. Nelson Mandela is another one that would be, you know, phenomenal to me. So those two kind of, you know, sit with me.
When you meet with God, what would you tell him?
I don't know. Thanks. Good to see you at last.
Right. What about this?
So really
awards that you have.
More vendor awards, and then you know, these are nationalizations. So we do a lot of work with national programs here. A lot of language learning, both Arabic and English. So a lot of these awards are kind of more personable, which is why they're in this office as opposed to in the cabinet. This is kind of where we have the main sort of boardroom, the conference area for us. So we'll have an executive committee meeting here. We'll do sales pipeline meetings from this room. And this room was probably the size of the room when we first started. So you know, this is all the space that we had. So there was Janine and I and one tech person, and we've shifted and grown as we've moved out. We've actually outgrown even this room, so I'll take you through to the sales room where we hold our general management meeting, and we do what we call our GMM every first Sunday of the month, and that brings everybody in. and we really talk about the business as a whole.
So GMM stands for General
Management Meeting, which we'll do, and everybody is a general manager in their own field. So I think that's the time that we can really sort of, look at the good, the bad, and the ugly with the business. And we go through what we call our keys. So we go through finance and admin, sales, we go through customer service, marketing, ICT, we talk about our vendors, and then we pull it all together with human resource. And then the final part of, maybe it's a 1-2 hour meeting, is really what everybody's doing on a personal level. So, they might have, I don't know, had a child or be in a sporting event. So we go through and get the personable side of everybody. And I think that really helps us, be close together.
Can you please tell us a little bit about the structure of your company, how you structured it?
Yeah, so obviously Janine and I kind of, look at the major decisions around finance and administration operations. And then we have leaders of the teams for account consultancy, which is essentially our sales team. And then we have a team called customer success, and the customer success team, they're really sort of KPI'd around, visiting the customers, making sure they're running reports and information about the digital learning and platforms. And then we have the ICT team, and then a small team for marketing and administration and finance.
Regarding the marketing and administration, the marketing. Do you have it in-house, or you also outsource it?
So most of that we do in-house, but actually we work with our vendor partners. So for things like lead generation, it's done on a bigger scale with some of our global partners. And then internally we'll probably send some of the messages that are more appropriate to our region and what we actually do. But yeah, a lot of the marketing actually comes from our partners. We do outsource some work on things like the website, so for web development, like some of the bigger projects, but a lot of it's done in-house and with our vendors.
What is the most expensive thing that you bought for yourself?
As kind of something that I normally wouldn't do, it was probably a watch or something like this. I bought a couple of nice watches. But nothing extravagant. Even the car, it's great, but it's practical. So nothing really over the top.
What do you think about in general this spending money on these fancy things that costs really lots of money? When you have enough money, do you think?
Well, I don't think it stops then. If it's about having something that is showy, I don't think you ever get to. You're always chasing the pipe dream with objects, with the best car, the best house, the best watches, the best. I think it's a never-ending circle, which is
vicious circle.
I don't think it's healthy either. But having said that, I don't think there's any problem with owning and having nice things and buying quality items. I think that's fine.
What would you recommend to invest into those who have spare 20, 50, 100,000 dirhams or dollars?
To invest from a business standpoint?
Like in general, if you had 100,000 spare dollars, what would you invest in?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think it's getting more and more difficult to invest in things that are actually stable. You think about stock exchange, you think about gold, and I think you either know about your investments or you leave it to a professional. So I'd say you get a professional advisor at some point. But if you're investing in business, there are a few new portals now that exist to help you to invest in smaller businesses like ourselves, and so that's an interesting newer concept. But wherever you can invest in yourself and invest in your own learning and development, whether it be an MBA. And for me, I went to business schools later on and did training seminars later on in my life. But I would recommend investing in yourself.
Can you please recall how you selected the name for your business and why xPertLearning?
Yeah. So I suspect, you know, we didn't really spend a lot of time thinking about it.
Yeah.
We wanted to be a learning organisation, and it's interesting now that we've become, you know, experts in learning, talent and performance as a consultancy. But then it was really about, you know, being experts in technology-based learning. So that's really where the name came from.
What is the most expensive course that you have now?
Well, really, it doesn't. Because we don't do this for individuals. Generally, what happens? We do this for, you know, a business.
Right.
So we might have a contract where an organisation takes, you know, 50, 100, 1,000 courses for all of their people. So that would be, you know, wrapped in a contract, and there might be, you know, a learning management software. There might be succession planning, performance management software. So they can be expensive. If an organisation commits to doing a full hire to retire HR piece of software, that can be quite expensive. And then e-learning, although it reduces cost of training, can still work out, you know, for each individual it's cost effective. But for the businesses, obviously they have to invest in it.
What was the most difficult thing that happened to your business so far?
I suspect it was really selling part of the business. We knew that we wanted to grow geographically, and the only way to do that was to sell equity in the business. So that was difficult. But then again, I think that many entrepreneurs work on their own. So it was nice to suddenly have more people involved, more, you know, directors on the board. So I think it's been a benefit, but that was difficult to let your, you know, part of your business go, and it's worked out well for us. So
if you started the very same business in your home country, do you think it will be of the same success?
Probably not. I think that, you know, it depends on timing. I guess we could have done, but I think the opportunities here, I think it's faster. I think it's easier to get to the right people here. If I want to meet with CEOs, I can imagine trying to do that in England, and it would take forever to go through, you know, all the roadblocks to get there. So, no, I think it's much easier to get to the right people, to do the formations, and to set the business up here. Yeah.
Right. Who are your parents? How did they react when they know that you want to start to shift your home to relocate to another country and start a business there?
Well, I suspect for them they're used to me traveling. So from, you know, as soon as I completed my engineering diploma, I was away. So from 20 years old, I was overseas. So I guess they're used to the you know, me not being around. But I guess really the realization that I was doing something for myself, I think they're very proud of that.
Right.
So through here is the ICT team, which...
Can you please describe in brief what this ICT team?
So the ICT is the Implementation Technical Consultancy Team.
Yeah.
So the developers are actually out in Bangalore, but these guys are probably more the face-to-face with our customers, which clearly is why there's nobody in here. And in fact, although we have all this office space, the majority of our people are out. So if they're implementation and technical consultancy, they're out with the clients, with the technical side of the business. If it's customer success, they're out with the clients, you know, talking about the data and analyzing the data. And then obviously if it's our account consultants, they're going to prospects to, you know, to find more business.
They have a good view here. Either you can shoot the view.
Yeah, maybe we picked the wrong office. So this is a small office for marketing. You said it's a big team. Well, actually,
Hello.
no.
How are you?
It's not a big team.
How is marketing going?
Yeah, they're busy. Always busy.
Yeah.
So this time of year is, you know, through the winter, certainly there's so many events. So we're either, you know, sponsoring HR and learning and development events, or we're actually, you know, busy organising our own. So we do our special annual event is called Learning Cafe.
Right.
And Cafe stands for Customer Advisory Forum event. So we get our customers, probably there's about 100 people in an event, and share stories and best practice. So these guys are kind of busy organising that for the 29th, I believe, this month. 27th. Okay.
27, yeah.
27th of November.
How many people will participate?
So there'll be about 100. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is the office that we took last year. So we opened this office as we kind of grew the team, and this is really the sales hub. So the account consultancy.
Only sales.
Yeah, pretty much the sales team. There are some of the customer success people that are here as well. So you can see again, everybody's out. This is we have a dress down Thursday. So, so the guys are dressed down. Like I said, there's nobody around at the moment. They're out. So they dress down if they're in on Thursday in the day. Right. But if they're out, obviously with clients, it's a little bit more kind of business.
And how many salespeople do you have?
So there's probably a dozen salespeople.
Wow.
We're about 30. We're about 32 at the moment in the whole organisation. So still a small business. But when we started the business, we didn't expect to have any people, because we thought that we would manage the agency and then we'd have reseller partners. But we actually found that the reseller partners, if they knew about HR, they didn't know about technology. And if they knew about technology, they didn't understand HR and training. So we had to start building our capability in-house.
And what about this beautiful picture?
So every year at the events, we do something that is a little bit of what we call an energizer. So we've had, Dubai drums, and everybody's been playing drums, and then we've had, escape rooms and gaming. And then one year we had a speed painter. So this whole thing took about a minute.
What?
And it was incredible.
A minute?
He's like this, and he's kind of dancing around, and he's doing the painting, and then he revealed the logo, and then we had the audience all speed paint. We gave them a little bit longer. We gave them 15 minutes and gave prizes for the best artist of the day. So this is kind of a memento. But since that, we've actually changed our logo, so maybe we need a new logo. But the history's there, so it was a fantastic occasion.
How did you decide the value or the profit that you want to share, or
so
did you refer to a book or to a mentor, or
no? So we got advice. We got advice from organisations. So we'll go to look to organisations that can help us with the valuation of the business, and then work with how the profit works. I mean, we didn't have an accountant for many years, but we've had our books audited for probably 10 years out of the 15 years. So it's been important to get outside opinion. I think that advisory capacity, if you don't have the skills in-house, then you have to outsource some of that.
What is the most unbelievable request that you have ever received from a client?
Oh, wow. Do you know what it usually is? It is to, run the whole training and development for a business. And we actually have finished up to do that. We don't deliver instructor-led training, so the traditional, classroom-based. But we have had requests where they want us to do everything. So everything from talent management, succession planning, and competency framework. So so that's but it's an interesting request. But then we'd look at partners to work with us to give the solution for the client.
What inspires you the most currently?
I think seeing somebody do something or realize something for the first time, to see growth in other people. We've had, people that have been with our company and then they've moved on somewhere. And by the way, we'll encourage that if it's not the right fit or they've outgrown their role and they want to move on, then we would encourage that. But then you see them grow, and you'll see them sort of 5-10 years later, and they're in another business and they've done exceptionally well. So, and then just seeing people develop and learn for themselves.
Every entrepreneur at some point has some failures, right? Some bad decisions which lead to failures. How do you cope with these maybe experiences at these particular times?
Yeah, I think you have to be quite agile. I think you have to be, you almost have to predict the worst case scenario.
Right.
You know, you don't win the business, or, you know, the head of, you know, your sales team leaves, or, you know, the marketing person leaves.
Yeah.
So I think you have to almost get ready for that and predict that.
Have plan B all the time?
Have a plan B all the time, absolutely, yes.
What would be your words of encouragement to those people who are watching us now, but they are afraid to start business?
I think that, first of all, just do it. I mean, you've got to go out there and try. And I guess really a lot of people might come here, have an idea, they're not convicted to it, they don't stay with it. And I think it takes probably 3 years before you really know whether you're a success or not.
Right.
And then it's just then starting to change and adapt from there. So, but go for it, you know.
How to become a business partner of Paul?
Well, I think it's a conversation. You know, it's how do we, I think it's understanding what we do.
Right.
And then it's how do, you know, how does a partner either, you know, become part of it as a reseller, or they're a vendor, or, you know, so I think it's understanding the industry and then making sure that there's a good fit and a good synergy.
Right. What type of person would I need to be to join your team and earn 20,000 dirhams per month?
Yeah, I guess you've got to be a person that loves learning. You've got to be a person that understands technology, can marry those two things together. But I think you've got to have the attitude that you go into a customer and you say, what do you need to do? How do you need to take, where do you need to take your people? What do you need to do to take those people there? And if they have a vested interest like I have, then they're going to fly with us and earn, you know, whatever they need.
Right.
There's no cap to what they can earn. But
What is team for you?
I think the importance of team is, you know, being able to get everybody's opinion, being able to collaborate, and now using the new technologies, collaborate in a way that really adds value. And I think it's important that everybody knows their part to play, but everybody contributes and wants to contribute. So that's really what teamwork means to me. I mean, obviously I'm going to say software,
Right.
because, you know, gone are the days where you could do things on spreadsheets and really understand where you are with people. I mean, now some of our software, if you just take the whole chat bot, you can now actually speak into your phone and say, well, how much leave do I have left? And, you know, can I take a holiday? And you'll have, you know, the robot coming back to you and giving you information. I can, you know, ask my phone to, you know, see if there's a book on emotional intelligence, and then start playing an emotional intelligence course. So I think people have to look to the technology now and see what it can do to help, you know, people to learn.
What would be your words of farewell to our viewers?
You know, I think it's about putting yourself in a situation where every day that you wake up, you want to go to work. And if you don't want to go to work every day, then you're in the wrong job. So do something that you're passionate about. You don't have to, everybody can't be an entrepreneur. Everybody can't play for the #1 football team. But I think everybody can wake up and have a purpose and do something that they really enjoy.
How much did your life change when you started your business?
I think it's, you know, it's almost like it was meant to be, but it changed significantly, I suspect, after a couple of years, because you realised that you had responsibility for, you know, for your staff and for members of the team. Whereas before you were, you know, in another organisation, it wasn't your responsibility. So responsibilities grew, and I think that can be quite stressful at the time. It's probably the hardest thing, especially as you get shifts and, you know, you go up and down in the business, and when, you know, it comes to a point where it's not going so well and you have to let people go, or those kind of decisions are much harder. And we've been fortunate that the curve has been, you know, pretty, you know, slowly, consistently growing organically. But yeah, I mean, it's a different world, but it's a lot more responsibility.
Right. Amazing words. Thank you very much, Paul. It was really nice to meet you, to hear your story, to share it with our viewers. I think it was amazing, and you inspire a lot of people, first of all to learn, second of all to develop their teams, and to introduce new technologies into their companies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Get the #1 step-by-step guide on how to become your own boss in the UAE. You will learn how to start your own business in the UAE. Just click the link in the description below this video and follow this link. This is your time to start. Click the link below this video. Bam!